Hi there, Jeffrey Rhoades from Experimental Homesteader, Exotic Gardening, and Sheri on Richerson.com. I have the vlog today, and today I'm not talking about work. We got up early this morning and headed to Indianapolis. We went to Benjamin Harrison's house and took a tour. Benjamin Harrison was our 23rd president, and he was from Indiana. He was actually born in Ohio, but moved to the Indianapolis area when he was around 20 years old or so. At the time, Indianapolis was a small city, but growing, and he had just recently passed his bar exam to be a lawyer, and had gotten married, and he had visited Indianapolis, saw that it was a small growing city, plenty of opportunities, so he moved to the Indianapolis area. He and his wife they purchased some land, and in 1875, actually in 1874, started building the house, and actually completed it in 1875. And the house is still there. It is still owned by basically an individual. It's only had two owners. Because when when his second wife finally decided to get rid of the house, she sold it to another individual, and that person still owns it, and the historical company that does the tours basically rents the home to do the tours, and keep it basically as a museum. It is unique in the fact that between 75 and 80% of the items within the house belonged to the Harrison family. A lot of historical homes do not have much in the way of original family-owned items. They're mostly decorated with basically reproductions of the era. But the Harrison home has a lot of original items. And so we went down and took a tour. Had a lot of fun. Saw some really interesting things. Learned lots of interesting facts about Benjamin Harrison. He was the grandson of William Henry Harrison, who was also a president of the United States. He had the shortest term of office of any president, because William Henry Harrison was elected president, was inaugurated, and about 30 days after his inauguration died from complications of pneumonia, and so was only president for about a month. His grandson was elected to the presidency, and was a one-term president. He beat the incumbent in the election. The incumbent was Grover Cleveland. So he was president after Grover Cleveland. And when he went to run for re-election, he was running against Grover Cleveland, who won that election. So he was president in between Grover Cleveland's 2 terms of office. But he, when he was president, he actually increased our Navy by quite a bit. Before he took office, we had 3 steel battleships in the Atlantic Ocean. Harrison, while he was in office, increased the Navy to 22 steel battleships and had fleets in both the Atlantic and the Pacific, which, when we fought the Spanish-American War, was a very useful thing that we had a fleet in the Pacific, because we fought with the Spanish in the Philippines as well as down in Cuba. So if it had not been for Benjamin Harrison, we would not have had a Pacific fleet, and we would not have been able to go to the Philippines and fight against the Spanish there. The home, they spent $25,000 to build the home, which in 1874, 1875 time period, the average annual income was about $400 to $500 a year. So $25,000 was quite a bit of money. It was a very nice home, 3 stories. It originally was a Italian-style front home, so basically a flat face. It was after Benjamin Harrison returned from the White House that he had a porch added on to the front of the house. He had the first house that was lighted by electric lights. Although they were afraid to turn on the lights. At the time, the electricity was not properly grounded, or not grounded well, and there was a tendency to get a electrical shock when flipping light switches. They actually hired someone to be their electrician and to turn on lights in the house for them. And this person actually wound up going with them to Washington, D.C., to the White House, and became the chief butler at the White House, and was there through 10 presidencies. So, got a good start. We also took a look outside around the property. There are a number of small little gardens decorating the property. It was still a little early in the season for most of the garden areas. They haven't bloomed quite yet. But Benjamin Harrison's, was it his daughter, Elizabeth? Yeah. I think it was his daughter, had a rose garden. So there's a rose garden. There are lots of hostas. They have a a small vegetable garden, an herb garden, a lilac garden, and it's some really nice stuff. And we plan on going back down maybe a little later in the season when more is in bloom and taking a look at some of what's there. But it was very entertaining. The cost is actually fairly reasonable. It costs $12 per adult, and you get it's about a 2-hour tour, and you get to wander through most of the rooms, although not all of them. One of the ground floor rooms they have roped off where you can't go in, because the rug that is on the floor in one room is an original Richerson rug, and so they don't want foot traffic on it, tearing it up and destroying it. But it's a very, original rug, basically throw rug, room rug, very nice. And it's in one of the first rooms after you enter the home. But most of the house, you can wander through it and look at things. They don't want you touching anything because so much of it is of historic value. But it was very, very interesting to wander through and look at everything. The stairs are a little steep, but that was, kind of the way that they were made at the time. There's 2 staircases. There's the main staircase in the front of the house going up, and then there is a back staircase. The back staircase was mainly for servants to use going up and down. I did notice that it wasn't pointed out or anything, but they have installed an elevator in the house. But it was a nice time. We had fun. It is just off of downtown Indianapolis, which at the time that the house was built, it was in the outskirts of the city of Indianapolis. The city has grown up around it, and has greatly expanded. But it is down near the downtown area, and it's a very nice, Victorian home, and well worth going to visit. So please subscribe, give us thumbs up, thumbs down, comments below, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great evening.